Hey guys, it's Oluchi for Ways Breakfast. Thanks for always tuning in. Our research has shown that you're probably not subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you never miss out on our latest content and stay in the loop with all things Ways. If the channel grows, it means more great content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button now.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Sayome Sally. And today, Gloria and I, our Friday tonics. What a guan.
Yeah.
This is your hairstyle.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to,
Are
but
you
I think I like
admiring?
it.
Really?
Eh?
Thank
Why do you like
you.
covering your face all
You
the
know I
time?
have like
Your forehead,
forehead.
That's you flaunt it.
Oh, like I'm not Rihanna.
You flaunt it. We are the four-read gang. We love it the way it is. Anything away from my face, that's what I do. How are you? How's the week been? How's the fuel situation?
Ah, you know how it is now. Do we need to talk about it? I mean, there's nothing I can say because no matter what you say, it's like the more you talk, that's when they'll say, let me pepper these people. Sure, you people know how to talk. I will pepper you people. So maybe let's just keep quiet a bit and see if, okay, they'll say, okay, you guys, you're now...
Have some
Yeah,
respite.
yes. So, okay. We're all facing it. We're in it together.
It
That's what
is
I'll say.
well. It is well. I don't know if Norma is there now. Norma is supposed to be joining us via Zoom. Okay, so I mean, I've had a very long day as an entrepreneur.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you just be writing proposal upon proposal upon proposal. But hey, that's our work. That's what we chose. So we keep on writing until one says, "Oh yeah, come, take the money and do the work." Yeah. But today has been a very long, but it was productive, long but productive day. Fuel. Yeah, I sent some people to go and see if they can get. I think they found. So
The
I should
problem is
have a
not
full
even
tank.
like they've taken it up. You can't still even see it. So what do they want? It's okay. Okay.
The
I
price
said
of
today, since we're not talking, let's not talk about...
no, I will still talk about fuel. I'm coming back to that fuel matter. I will come back. All right, so if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV, so go there right now and click the subscribe button. If you're watching, click it now. Don't wait. All right, so tonight we want to have a conversation on how do we identify a troubled child. I mean, there were just too many disturbing stories over the week that just came on social media. It then brought to the fore some stories that had happened previously. So we just want to have that conversation. And we're so excited because we have a guest and he's in studio. Wow. It was a surprise for me. I thought we were going to be doing a Zoom transaction, but hey, he's around. So we're going to be having Taiwo Akinlami much later to join us. But here's what we found just today's course. It says every child should be able to grow up with hope and possibilities. When violence takes their life, it steals not only their futures, but ours as well. And this was a quote from Michelle Obama. So as I said earlier, I mean, yesterday we had a conversation around all the killings, boyfriend killing girlfriend, and all of that. The boy that buried both his ex-girlfriend, his sister, and his friend. So I kept on asking, how do you even identify? How do you even know who to be friends with? How do you identify? Then how do you even identify a troubled human being, like a troubled? And since we want to narrow it down to young people, that's the conversation we're having. How do we identify a troubled child? And when we open our phone lines, we really love to hear your thoughts. If you have questions for the guests, I mean, it would be good to also, share some of those questions. But we'll do all of that. First, let's go on a break to see what we found in today's news. Thanks for staying with us. Now, National Food Bank Day is celebrated on the first day of September each year. It's a day dedicated to raising awareness about the crucial role food banks play in combating hunger and providing essential resources to those in need. This day is important because it highlights food insecurities, encourages community involvement, and also recognize the work of food bank staff and volunteers. Also, donating food or funds, volunteering your time, and spreading awareness are ways to get involved in celebration of this day. So, yeah, we need this kind of days right now. Nothing
Yeah.
is too small for you to give. I see a lot of, and this is where I give kudos to a lot of churches. They do this a lot, and again, with the wake of the hike in price, the inflation, fuel situations, I think churches doubled their givings. They doubled it. Yeah, we need more of these. All right, so let me come to you. Glory, what did you find for us in the news?
I searched through the news. I'm like, today I want to give something positive.
It is
So trust me, it was difficult getting this one. But yeah, it says the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has said Nigeria is committed to achieving universal energy access by 2060, with a short-term target of attaining 30 gigawatts of grid energy supply by 2030. He disclosed this in a statement posted on the Power Ministry's media platform on Thursday, speaking on the China-Nigeria Economic Cooperation and Trade Conference in Beijing, China. Adebalu said, in Nigeria, we are committed to achieving universal energy access by 2060 with a short-term target under our vision 30-30-30 to attain 30 gigawatts of grid energy supply with a 30% renewable energy mix by 2030 and a long-term goal of universal energy success.
Good news. Let's see how that goes.
Let's see how it goes.
Nigeria.
With all the hike and everything, at least if they are increasing the prices and giving us stable electricity, okay, let's just see how it goes.
Okay. So there is a conversation around NNPC. Me, this Dangote matter, I will follow it tooth and nail because I don't get it. So the headline says NNPC ties Dangote petrol price to forex rate. Right? So I just rushed down to the comment section on Punch because there was no even comment. I mean, they didn't even put a caption. Right? I then rushed down to comment section. Somebody says, if you think Dangote refinery will change anything, you never know Nigeria be that. It says it is well. So what's now the benefit of the refinery? Somebody else now says, if NNPC no buy Nigeria we go buy NNPC. It now says renew hope. And people are just kind of like disappointed. You said that you wanted to supply, Dangote will be receiving crude from Nigeria in Naira. You're not going to be selling to him in Naira, right? And I don't get why. In fact, when they started putting conversations around NNPC being the sole buyer from Dangote, I already knew that there was a problem, right? Because these are people that have benefited from corruption. They've benefited from earning forex on top of everybody in this country. So how do you think that they want to change that status quo? So why are you benchmarking that price on forex? This particular transaction has not happened in forex. The only thing that I know that might have happened in forex is the building of that refinery. And you cannot make your money overnight. Do you understand? It's a business. We all know how we set up. You set up, I mean, you are in the finance sector. If you set up something with 100 million, you cannot just in the first month that you start to sell, put all that 100 million in the goods. You won't sell. Do you understand? What you are expected to do is to do a projection to say, okay, maybe in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years, I should be able to make my 100 million back. So because the only transaction that I know that has transpired in forex is the setting up of the refinery itself, building of the refinery, which they said $20 billion was used to build the refinery. But now the goal, you guys said you would sell the crude to him in Naira. He then refines and sell it back into, and he can also even export and earn forex. So where is this conversation coming that is now sounding very, very, very sickening? Because now you're saying you are benchmarking the same thing that we're complaining that the prices are high based on FX. You're now benchmarking that price within your country on FX. Doesn't make any sense. Like, these people, do you really want us to live in this country?
No, they don't.
No, because it's becoming. I'm
it's
serious.
Becoming very obvious.
It's becoming very obvious. Like, it's like, no,
done.
you literally want to have an empty country. That's the point I'm trying to make. You don't want to have human beings anymore in Nigeria. How else do people express how bad things have gone?
We're excited that, okay, Dangote refinery is coming. Maybe, just maybe, it's going to make things a little better. There'll be competition and all of that. But look at how the story is changing. Look at how the
It's
direction
just
is
sickening.
going. So
It's just sickening. When I saw this, I said, no, come on. Mona kuku carry us. Just tell us Simku no they go. Oh, it is well. All right, we'll take a break now. We'll take a break. I think Norma will join us after the break, and we'll also have our guest. Oh, Norma, are you there? Norma, are you there? Are you muted? Oh, wow. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future.
Yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
One of our major problems as Nigerians is we the Nigerians. So the fact that we don't care or love ourselves, we don't care or love our country, we have no loyalty to anyone. We always, and when we have issues in Nigeria, when issues come up, we throw the religious and ethnic, cards to suit our personal and selfish desires. When it comes to election, you are my brother. But when I get into government and I'm eating, I don't try to bring you who is educated and fit for the position, but rather I'll give it to someone who will give me a cut. So we do all these things for selfish desires. And that is how we've gotten to where we are. Because if you are not able to be honest and have high morals and integrity, when it gets to the point of also, when you have stained your hands, it now becomes almost impossible for you to be the same person who will sit on that seat and be part of a committee that they will put together to persecute someone because your hands are dirty.
What are the things that would make Nigeria an easy place to do business in?
I think the first place for me where I would start is actually brand Nigeria. There's something you said about made in Nigeria products. I remember many years ago when the sort of Buy Nigerian movement started, right? It didn't happen overnight, but there was a conscientious effort, right, to get people to think Buy Nigerian. But I don't think it transcended beyond maybe the fashion industry, that sort of, it was only in certain sectors where Buy Nigerian actually, was able to take root.
Hi, thanks for staying with us. So let me quickly just bring in Norma Efanya. Sorry, technology sometimes can be unfair to us. Norma, how are you?
Great, I'm great. Technology is what it is.
Ah, my sister.
we will continue to.
We move. But I really loved your... Sorry,
it
go
allows
ahead.
us.
Yeah, I said I
I
really
was
love
just
the
saying
story you wanted to touch on for your What's in the News. Do you mind touching on that quickly before we bring in the guest?
Okay, so my story is about the suspect already. It's part of our news for today about the 14-year-old boy who has been charged with killing 4 people. But my story is more about the suspect's father who admits that the school shooting weapon was actually a holiday present. So the story goes that the father, his name is Colin Gray. Colin Gray is the father of the suspect, and he has been charged with, he's facing multiple charges, including 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter and 2 counts of second-degree murder and 8 counts of cruelty to children. And this is according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. His son, of course, who was the 14-year-old student, was accused of using an AR-style rifle. He killed 2 students and 2 teachers in the attack. And this took place on Wednesday at the Appalachia High School in southern states of Georgia. So the father has admitted that this weapon given to him as a Christmas gift. And this weapon was also used to affect other students, about 6 students and a teacher. Those ones were shot and they were injured, while 2 others were additional students who sustained non-gunshot related injuries. For me, it's just something, this is like the 45th incident alone this year, and we're just in the month of September. This is a 45th incident, and we have this is the second most devastating incident that has happened with regards to shooting.
Okay.
A point of interest for me is the fact, just 1 minute, please. The point of interest for me was the fact that the parents gave him this gun after he had been accused of being online and making threats online. There was an investigation that was going on before now, and they claimed that, oh, they had nothing to do with that investigation, only for that gift to be given to this child, and this incident has happened. So it's such a shocking experience because I don't know what the parents of this young man were thinking about and to give him this weapon in the first place. And now it has claimed the lives of 4 people.
4 people. We'll continue that conversation, but let me just quickly bring in our guest. So we are confronting the harrowing trends that's casting a shadow over communities both near and across. Like you already heard from Norma's story, from Ondo, a 17-year-old chef who killed his madam over 150K, to the story of a 12-year-old girl who killed her cousin over an iPhone. Also a 14-year-old, like Norma just took, who killed about 4 people in his school in Georgia. And the boy, the 200-level student who killed Christina, right? She's, I think, a 300-level student. After killing both his sister and his ex-girlfriend. Now, these stories, each tragic in its own right, highlights a disturbing rise in violence that transcends borders and demographic. Now, tonight we delve deeper into epidemic, exploring the root cause and the potential solutions of these kinds of behavior. I will be focusing first on, on the first study place for a child, which is the school environment, because those are the places where you see children, where they grow up and all of that. And we're asking, how can schools begin to identify troubled children? Joining us to have this conversation, as I'd mentioned earlier, is a former social development and family attorney in the person of Taiwo Akinlami. Thank you again so much for being here live with us in studio.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure being in your studio.
Thank you.
This is the first time
live
in the studio.
In this studio.
Yes, in this studio. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. We are now wearing, we're wearing blue. We got the memo. Thank you so much. But Taiwo, honestly speaking, yesterday when we were having this conversation around the killings, how somebody's able to bury 3 bodies in a house. And it seems like, I'm just wondering, what's going on? First of all, the question I had raised yesterday, how do you even identify who to be friends with? That's number one. Secondly, now with the rise in all this crime that is going on, right? The first place of probably like where children begin to spend long hours is the school environment, right? And I believe that, you know, if people pay attention to these troubled people, you'll be able to identify that there's something off about this person. Or is it that these children are able to mask some of these things? And what exactly is going on? What's your assessment on this? I mean, all the general things that have been happening, especially around teenagers and young people.
Well, thank you once again for having me. You know, a tree, a fruit, does not fall too far from the tree. When you see a man on the street dancing and you don't see drummers, of course, it's either the man is insane or the drummers are in a nearby bush. So what our children are exhibiting right now, when you look at the socialization of our today's children, you will find that I'm not surprised at what is happening. I would have been surprised if the otherwise is happening. Because look around you, children are in big, solid trouble. It's a difficult time to be a young person, very difficult. When I was growing up, the agents and agencies of influence were limited. They were limited to my TV, they were limited to the newspapers, they were limited to music, and the channels of distributing all of these agents of socialization were limited. But today, you find a situation where these agents are unleashed. Agents are agencies because it's about contact. It's about content. When there's content and there's contact with the content, then there will be conduct. It is content on its own being created by diverse kinds of people with diverse kinds of interests. And when children come in contact with content, it will affect their conduct. Someone says, what informs you forms you. So at the end of the day, what we are dealing with is that children are dealing with major mental health issues because there's an onslaught on their mind, not being able to process, you know, everything they receive. Now, this is the challenge. Children, why do we say early years are formative age, formative period for children? They are being formed. Everything around them is forming them. When they grow older, they are receiving influences. And that's why I keep saying, ultimately, it is not about what children do. Society has focused on that forever, and it has not helped us. We now need to begin to focus on the culture we exhibit to children. How on earth do you look at your 14-year-old and you say it's Christmas time? What I want to buy for him now is a gun. Right? Not even a small pistol, you know. So that's what you want to buy. That is the culture right there. What is the thinking process or the thought process of that kind of parents that feel that what he needs to do is to buy a gun for the son? So I think that going forward, there are two things. You know, people cannot mask. Children are not too good at masking who they are. We are just dealing with parents, primary caregivers, secondary caregivers that are not observant. We're having a conversation in your office about boarding schools, about whether the operators of boarding schools are in a good place to manage the emotions and the challenges that children face there. Now, that is a symposium discussion. So for me, when you look at all of these things happening, it tells us that we have work to do because no child was born with a gun coming to this world. No child was born with, you know, concepts. Children were born without concept. When they came here, they began to learn concepts by the things they see, the things they hear, the examples they see. And at the end of the day, the society turns around to blame children for the culture that they taught them. Now, this is how I think about it. You send a child to school. He learns very well in school. He comes back as an A student, and you are getting angry. So when you are showing children the things they should not see, And those who claim to even protect children from those things are hypocritical about it. And so at the end of the day, children become what they see. And when they become what they see, they are doing very well. Now, if what they see is a working marriage, they will pattern their lives after that.
And they
If
will,
what
they
they
will,
see,
they will do it excellently.
They will do it excellently. If what they see is a committed parent, they will pattern their lives after that. If what they see is gun-toting parents who will buy guns for their children as Christmas present, if what they see are irresponsible parents, who are not able to deal with their own issues and are not able to make their private matters private, and to the point that children are now observing all of those, what do you get? You also get them acting out all of those things.
Excellently well.
Yeah, excellently well. So we should not get angry by the result that we are seeing. If we are interested in changing the result that we are seeing, we need to change the input. It is input that determines output.
Interesting.
But I also know that from studies, there are some young people with psychological issues. Now, how is that still a function from the home setting, or it's like more of biological? And how do we recognize, how do we identify those sort of young people with such issues, and how do we start, managing them so that they don't become harmful to the society?
Well, so if you go to a medical doctor and you complain about what you are feeling, he's going to ask for your medical history. He wants to ask you, when do you go to bed? If you say you are having pounding headache, it doesn't just begin to recommend, you've told him or her the symptoms. It doesn't just begin to recommend medication. He wants to ask, when did you go to bed yesterday? Maybe you need to go rest. Maybe we don't need to medicate yet. Now, there's no child that is born antisocial. If we have such, if it is hereditary one way or the other, it is of minute percentage. Because CNN did a documentary of triplets who were separated from birth. They never even knew that they were triplets. They were separated from birth. And so by the force of coincidences, they met again. Now, these three boys, born by the same parents, raised by different adoptive parents, turned out like each of those parents. That's what CNN found in that documentary. One of them ended up committing suicide. One of them became a white-collar person because the parents who raised him were white-collar people. Like that. Now, the tragedy at the end of the day was that they were trying to come together in their adult life to live together, promote mutual values, which they were not raised with. So at the end of the day, one of them could not take it. He took his own life. Now, but why did CNN conclude that docu-series or that documentary? The way they concluded is that when it comes to children, 79% is influence. It's about the environment in which they are being raised. And that has been proven again and again. Look at the psychopaths that have lived in this world. Look at Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy slaughtered by confession. He confessed to have slaughtered 27 people or 30 people. Investigation revealed that Ted Bundy slaughtered between 30 and 100 people. Now, who was Ted Bundy? Ted Bundy was born Ted Cromwell. Cromwell was the grandfather. There were insinuations that it was the grandfather that impregnated the mother.
Wow.
Later, Ted Bundy grew up and the mother married a guy called Bundy. And so the mother changed his name to Bundy. At 17, he came across pornography, started preying on pornography. He read psychology. That was his first degree, Ted Bundy. His knowledge of psychology could not help him, could not undo what childhood has done. He was reading law as his second degree. Ted Bundy was working in call center, emergency call center, counseling people who wanted to commit suicide, only to go and kill them in the night. So Ted Bundy, at the end of the day, when he was arrested, when he was going to be executed, he granted an interview to a man known as James Dobson in the US and began to talk about the impact of the media. Now, this 1989, there was no YouTube. This 1989, there was no Twitter. This was 1989, there was no Instagram.
There was no Instagram.
This was 1989, there was no TikTok. And Ted Bundy was saying, you're going to execute me, yes. But I'm not saying you should not execute me, I'm going. But you should understand that you are leaving open the industry that produced me, the media. Because he made allusion to how he stumbled on pornography. And he was saying, I'm not trying to excuse myself. I'm not trying to say I should be justified for what I've done. But I'm saying that the world is making, and that interview is still on YouTube. You know, Ted Bundy and James Dobson talking about the impact of the media on our precious children.
Hey, that was what we talked about yesterday. Oh. I'll come back to that. But let me hear Norma quickly. I'll come back to that. No, are you there? Oh, okay. Norma, you're muted if you're talking. See, you know, yesterday we had talked about the impact, that what role does media play in influencing or shaping the minds of our children. So I was saying, because there was an argument that if you check in the media, right, there are a lot of content. But what I see, which is the biggest problem that I see within the media, is the fact that there are no balanced content. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in the sense that you would hear that, oh, this person went and committed maybe a crime, he made 10 billion out of that crime, they arrested him, he paid 1 million bailing fee, and that's it. You understand? There's no, the measure of crime and probably justice or maybe people serving time does not correlate. So media can only project stories that are available to be projected. So if we do not have the other stories that kind of like balances out the evil, and we're now seeing that, oh, rule of law is happening, social justice is happening, like, and all of that, then you will continue to have a lopsided storytelling in the media space. So now you're saying it. So I was of the opinion that the bulk of the work should come from the place where the system is structured in a way that it creates balance. Because media, I don't know, but a lot of media, most of them these days are quite lazy. You understand? They only lift stories based on what is happening. Nobody goes that extra mile to do the investigative work. And even in terms of funding, you require funding to do some of these kinds of documentaries that you're talking about. So how would you now blame a media where the system in itself, you know, has no moral capacity or no justice capacity? How do you blame the media?
I don't blame the media. You know, it's a free world. Anybody can choose to do what he or she chooses to do. Any business entity can decide to do what they want to do. This is my challenge. We need men and women on a mission who have seen the problem and they want to solve the problem. I don't begrudge any news platform. It is not a ministry to be criticizing people when you can sit down and think about alternative content for our children. For me, a few years ago, I began to feel that there must be something we can do. I created a comic. You know, when a program yesterday, we had a lot of people embrace the comic to say, okay, there's a way we can tell our story that can interest children. We can provide alternative content and in the process also teach children some things. But when you look at the whole gamut of the media across the world, what is the influence of that my small comic is infinitesimal. But this is the point for me. As infinitesimal as it is, if it is one child, 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, like yesterday, that those parents, they rushed at it and they picked them up for their children. Now, for every family, 1 or 2, someone is being influenced. I could wait for the big budget and for the big money and for the funding. Please note, funding is critical. Budget is important. And those were the things we were discussing in your office. But the most important thing is that we need men and women on a mission who are committed. You know, because power does not shift except for superior power. Montesquieu was the one who said it. He said, what I used to think about has now become clear to me in practice. that power does not shift except for superior power. You know, what we build a lot of times are the cities of complainers. This is not good. That is not good. That is not good. This is not supposed to be. So tell us what is supposed to be. Because power is not an a la carte. Whether it is political power, whether it is social power, whether it's economic power, somebody has to see enough to say that we need alternative for these children and begin to create that alternative in our corners. Now, this is the trick that the enemy uses. The enemy will say, okay, all of these movies you're talking about, all of these contents, they are for adults. So they are not for children. That's why we create it like that. You forget that a society cannot have double value. Whether you create, whatever content you create, you don't know who is going to see it, even when you say there's age limits. And I'll give you a quick example. There's this guy called, a big actor in America. He was invited to act a role in a movie. And when he saw the script, a child was going to be killed. And when that child is killed, the father is going to be powerless. The father is going to go and beg the mob who killed the child. The guy said, I can't act this movie. Very popular. I think it's Steve Poitier. I cannot act this movie. He said, because if I act this movie, I will not be my father's son. This is not what my father taught me. My father did not teach me that my son or somebody's son should be abused, innocent child, and the father should look away, bow to the powers that destroy the child, right? I refuse to participate. So what I'm saying in essence is that until we begin to look at it little by little, because at the end of the day, there must be a way we must zero in on what our viewers can begin to do. Let us stop criticizing. Let us start creating. How are we going to match them?
And don't even bother whether your content is one viewer. Just do your part.
Continue to create.
Absolutely.
And until you begin to create, so when you are creating, then you can now be directing people to your alternative content. Then you can now create comparison between your alternative content and the content you are diverting children from. You know, nature does not allow vacuum. They should not watch this. They should not watch. What should they watch?
What's the option?
They should not play this music. They should not listen to this music. Which one did you create? What is the alternative to all of this music that you find outside that can match these people? Lyrics for lyrics, beat for beat, production for production. I'm aware of a musician. For one track, he shot 2 videos, equally powerful. You never saw the second one, but he shot both, spending a lot of money in shooting both, and deciding that after we have finished shooting, we are going to screen and decide which one we are going to use. They had equal budget for two videos for one song. That is the diligence that people go to. But those who want to help children, most of the times we are laid back, thinking that manners is going to fall from heaven. The world is a marketplace. Everything that is on earth today is created by somebody. We had a conversation in your office. Your idea of running from correcting what was wrong was what created this place. You could be in the other place and be complaining. Yes, you complain, you shut down the show. Many people have gone that path, and they'll be justified in their mind. Well, I tried, they messed me up. But you reached into yourself, and you began to say, there must be a way we can correct this thing. Then you agitated in that place. If you can be corrected in that place, we correct it. If you cannot be corrected in that place, we move.
On that note, let's move on to a break. We'll be right back. Wow. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we are having a very intense conversation. How do we identify, children that are troubled, right? How do schools also identify them? And we have with us Taiwo Akinlami. All right, so please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone lines are open. The number to call is 07025007749 or 07014242420. Please remember to turn off the volume of whatever device it is you're watching us from. Norma, let me come to you. I hope you're unmuted now.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, please.
Taiwo, it's always It's always a privilege having you on board, Taiwo. I mean, you've talked extensively about content. You've talked about the influence that the media has on children. But I wanted to ask because I'm an avid believer of the fact that the family has a very key role to play in how the child turns out, even though the society has its influence as well. But from the family, because taken from my story today, it was the father who actually gave this child a gift that he has weaponized and used. The influence of the family. I know currently in Canada, they have actually banned phones in high school, that children are no longer allowed to use their phones while school is going on until after school hours. So that is that's a step in the right direction to help children. But how can families like synchronize their values with schools? Because sometimes you as a parent, you have done everything that you can to keep that child in check. You know, you give them their screen time, you do all of this, and then they go to school and they are exposed to institutions where maybe it's liberal enough to allow them to do certain things, depending on what school that the kids are going to. So in your opinion, how can we begin to have a joint collective value system that cuts across both the schools, the institutions, and the families? Because it's one thing to put in all of the effort in the family front, but not being able to get the desired, the commensurate result from the institutions where the children are exposed to.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that for me, we need to redefine what we call family these days. See, who is my family? You know, because in my home, there are people that I've invited through TV, through different devices. Please note, this phone is neither good nor bad. This phone was created as a medium. Medium or media is useless without content. Content is created by values. People's value system is what creates contents. So in the home, in the family, we are dealing with an intruder. But why there's no breaking, there's nobody broken, but we brought those intruders. And now we are trying to control the activities of those intruders vis-a-vis their impact on our children. We have to factor in the digitalization of our world, what our world has become today. Whatever family that is having a conversation, my little boy who's going to be 3-year-old in October is already digital savvy. Right? He knows, he will tell me, YouTube kids. He's not yet 3 years old. That is his socialization. He was born into technology. He has started picking my phone at 2. If the phone rings, he'll pick it and come and give it to me. So we have to factor in the fact that our world is digitalized. How much of my writing do I even do by hand? I do my writing this day by speaking. I speak to my laptop and I edit. And it's faster for me to do. Things have changed. So when we're looking at the family, we must look at how do we deal with the impact of these intruders who we invited by ourselves, because it has become, a norm. As an adult, you know how much you have to consciously, you receive a message on WhatsApp. Your goal is to go and check the WhatsApp. As you are going to the WhatsApp, something pops on your phone. Before you know it, you have been on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you now come to the WhatsApp. As a matter of fact, you forgot. What was I trying to do? Why did I even come to this place? Because it happens to me. So it takes a whole lot of discipline for you to even put yourself together. So I think this is the time for us to influence content. Very, very important. And for us, when we're talking about value system within the family, we have to now understand that the people that are trying to undo what we are doing, there are many. And sometimes their voices are bigger than our own.
Stronger.
Okay, Taylor Swift, very popular, very rich. The parents who is telling the children, don't watch Taylor Swift, they don't have what she has. They don't have the parents, they don't have a visibility, what she can buy, what she can flaunt. They don't have it. And so the children are thinking, if you are this wise than this lady you are telling me not to watch, you should have made it. So, and meanwhile, the whole idea of making it is now different. You know, the meaning of what it means to make it is now different. And so, when we are dealing with this hydra-headed situation, what happens is that those who are distracting our children are strategists. They are not using native intelligence. Those who created Instagram, why do you think the American government, Department of Justice, has taken TikTok to court? They are saying that you allow children younger than 13 to come to your platform, and when they come to your platform and the parents discover, you put bottleneck, bureaucratic bottleneck, technological bottlenecks, making it difficult for the parents to remove their children. That's what is going on. Do you know that there's a commitment? If you see documentaries like some social dilemma, you will know that there's a commitment to get people addicted to these things. Some of the people who develop these things are now coming out to say this is what is going on. So that is the hydra-headed crisis that we are dealing with. But I think that it is also important for us to discuss what are the things we need to watch out for. You know, because I believe that that is also critical when we are working with children. And to say that, I'm just going to tell you a quick story. There's this girl in school. I told that story in one of our books. This girl in school used to be very lively, active, contributory in class, and doing well academically. All of a sudden, getting to year 10, year 8, became withdrawn. Her grades started going down. So the disposition of the school is that, what's wrong with you? You are better than this. Come on, get out of it. Come out of it. But there was another teacher who saw differently. I know this child. I know what she's able to do. Started talking to her. Started getting close to her. This teacher, after few months of constant conversation, this woman was not a psychologist, that's the teacher, was just a teacher who was interested. She found that since when that child was 12 years old, she was being raised by two alcoholics, her mom and her dad. Now, to the alcoholism of the mom, she added prostitution. And so when they separated, the dad and the mom, the child wanted to go to school, and the mom said, you know what, you can go to school, but the only way you can go is if you join me in this trade. Whatever you make for yourself, you will use it to be going to school. And the child bought the idea. And by the time she was 16 years old, she was having crossroad, in a battle of conscience. Education is good, but is it worth paying with my body and paying with my dignity for? And she began to have that problem, and she began to drop. You know what happened to that teacher when she found out that? They helped that child, but that teacher resigned from her job, and she went back to school to go and read psychology. And she said, now, without the knowledge of psychology, I've been able to help this child.
Imagine what
will happen if I know more. So I cannot continue to be in this school. I have to go and set up an NGO where I can help other children. So when we are talking about people being observant, it is only those who are committed, because there's something behind just observing something. Look at the entire school. How come it was only that teacher? Of all the people that have come across that child, or the child has passed through, how come it's only that teacher that could identify? And why was she able to identify? She was interested. She loved the child. Love to children means appreciation and attention. So when you have hordes of children in public schools in Nigeria, 80 children in a class, what is that going to observe? Right? Now, when you have even now fewer children, and it is about money for hand, back for grand.
Your salary and all that.
And let me tell you something. I've seen things, even beyond the shores of Nigeria. The plight of children across the world is the same. So you go to schools, chartered schools in America, where students are there, and most of these children are from inner cities. And so they come to school. Now, these teachers already have preconceived notion about these children. And so you see children fighting in school, police coming to, to arrest them, or to bring peace and to shut down the school for 1 day, 2 days. That happens regularly depending on the area you live in or the schools you are talking about. So the challenge again is that System is critical, but more important, we need people that are genuinely committed to children. Who will go beyond the call of duty and say, okay, something is wrong. I'm observing something here. But when we are using herd immunity, herd education, just bring them in, what are we going to see? So the question is, in retrospect, when something happens, you say, and I suspected it. And I saw something was wrong. And I wanted to talk to him. So those are fundamental issues.
You're not committed
and
enough.
The truth of the matter is that every child who is messing up today is yearning for a listener. When, you see, the behavior of a child is a call for attention.
Because I feel like even that boy that went to shoot, look at this boy that killed 3 people. They said he watched one movie like that. You understand? It is from the offshoot of that movie that he killed the first one, he was successful, he killed the second one, then he now killed the third one now that he was arrested. So there is... because what you just said is very key. I say to people that there are some professions you do not go into if you do not have the heart for it. And I feel like anything that has to do with the well-being of children, young people, some people, they are not called for it. You know, I say this very passionately because everybody that knows me knows that when it comes to children matter, do not even come close to me, because if we do not preserve and protect them, how do we even preserve the future, right? So how do we start to intentionally, right, breed this consciousness in the minds of these people when they already, as adults, they are also broken? So how do we break that cycle?
They are broken. That's the challenge. And that is why, for me, you can't give what you do not have. And you are going to produce after your kind. When you yourself, you are dealing with issues. Look at the state of Nigeria. Look at the economy. Look at what people are going through. So a teacher goes to school now, and he's still thinking about how to get to school. I was in an office today. So once somebody was telling somebody, so we see on Monday, he said, you know, I'm not coming on Monday. I don't come on Monday. So when the person left, I was interested. Why don't you come on Monday? He said, well, we have arranged it here. I do 3 days, that person does 2 days. But a teacher cannot do that because he has to be in school every day. So if you pay peanuts, you will hire monkeys. What is the state of education in Nigeria? Millions of children are out of school. Even those who are in school, they are not learning the basics. British Council says they are not learning the basics. Now look at the people that are teaching them. So here we say we are teaching British curriculum. We are teaching Finnish curriculum. But when you go to Finland, the Ministry of Education is called Ministry of Education and Culture, because they know that a people's culture must precede what they teach in school. So the foundation is already faulty. So we bring a lot of innovations from the US. I was working with a school yesterday. There was one guy who was always saying, in America, in the UK, I said, calm down, sir. This is not America. This is not UK. This is Nigeria. Let's talk about. I told him, you are too idealistic in your perspective. This is the reality on ground. If you want children, if you want teachers to be more observant, are we committed to their welfare? Somebody who is caring for someone. What is the plan for self-care? In developed countries, particularly those who work with children, they try to focus on self-care.
And their well-being.
Their own well-being, because they know it is what you have that you are going to give. So if we are going to see all of these things, I think there are 3 fundamental things we must pay attention to. 1, how are we raising our children? That is critical, because at the end of the day, our children are either beneficiaries or casualties of our examples. How are we raising them? How do you give a gun to a 14-year-old as Christmas present? What thought process informed that of all the things that you can give to a child? Number 2 is the fact that how are we constantly evaluating other influences in the lives of our children? How are we constantly evaluating that? So this is what I'm telling my child. But there are other influences out there.
Also talking to them.
So how do I evaluate the impact of all of those influences? And the way to evaluate it is to observe your child. If you see your child displaying some certain traits that is strange to your value as a family, then you know that something is happening, because you don't begin to beat the child. You don't begin to say, what's going on? You want to know that, well, I didn't teach him that. He didn't learn that from here.
To trace it.
Something is happening right there. So the behavior of a child is the way we observe. We ask questions to say, okay, something must be going on right there. Because at the end of the day, if you just keep beating down children, yelling at them, forgetting
Nothing
that they
gets
are
solved.
products of their own environment, they are products of what they see, nothing gets solved. Thirdly, we must have people that are visionary enough to have difficult conversations with children. Because there are difficult conversations that we need to have with children. And when I talk to children, I let them know that, you see, you can do anything you want. I'm not the type of person that's going to tell you, you cannot do anything you want. Because God, the maker of the heaven and earth, says, I put before you life and death. Choose life that you may live. So you can do anything you want. And I give you a quick example, if I can say. My nephew came to spend holidays, came to write his jam in my house. Because my house was very close to the center. I said, see, as you are going for this jam, I believe you have been reading, I've been seeing you reading. As you are going now, you can read, you can go and face it. The consequences of your study. Whatever it gives you, you get into university this year. If you don't get to university this year, it's not the end of life. Number two, you can meet some people at the center. They will say, bros, come here, there's Orijo somewhere. Let's show you how to do it. You can collect it. I'm not saying don't collect it. But when you collect it, you can be caught. When you are caught, you will now know that the shortcut of passing it this time, which were not wise enough to prepare for and be ready for the consequences, when you are caught, they will arrest you. When they arrest you, you can call me. I have an uncle who is a lawyer. I will come there. I will not subvert the cause of justice. If jail is where you have to go, it was 16, you will go there. Now, but you are going to see that I'm going to get you the best defense you can get in this world. But I'm not going to condone what you have done. If the justice system now says, ultimately, you have to go for it, you will go for it. If your parents abandon you when you are in the gulag, I will be there with you. I will not condemn you one day. I'll be there with you to encourage you. Don't worry, this is the consequence of your action. Just go through it. Life, there's life after prison. Things are still going to be well with you. That's what I'm going to do. And I explained to him, I can't cajole him. Those are difficult conversations. Let him see the consequences of his action. When we cajole them, we try to hide, say, oh, we don't want them. If you go to university...
So you must really, really be open enough to discuss those
particularly for children who can reason, who can understand the consequences of their action. We must be interested in having difficult conversations. But let me tell you something.
Quickly.
Not everybody can have that difficult conversation because not everybody sees life big enough to have that kind of conversation, because again, if you don't have it properly, it can be misinterpreted. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. On that note, definitely we're bringing back Taiwo Akinlami because he just gave me 2 books. I'm going to go and read it. This is a textbook. Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, then The Culture of Discipline, Transforming Child's Discipline into the Culture of Discipline. I want to read this book. Just the intro, I had fun with it. Thank you so much, Taiwo Akinlami. We definitely are bringing you back before you run off again. Thank you, Glory. Thank you, Norma. Now, before we go, subscribe across all our social media handles and like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed our quote for today, it says, every child should be able to grow up with hope and possibility. When violence takes their life, it steals not only their future, but ours as well. That was from Michelle Obama. We'll see you guys Monday as we bring another great conversation to your screen.